Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a client that was in the aftermath of quite a severe assault, which they found very traumatic. And the repercussions of that assault affected where they were living, their ability to earn an income, and lots of other things happening in their life. So not only were they dealing with this kind of feeling of vigilance and on edge, but also the anticipatory fear of, well, what does this mean for their future? How do they sort themselves out in different circumstances? And mainly they were holding on to feelings of sadness, but also anxiety. And that's very natural. I think humans aren't meant for, let's say, life changing in an instant. And that can happen in very different ways. In this case, it was an assault. In a different case, it could be losing a job. In another case, it could be losing a relationship. But these things where it feels like a rug pull from beneath your feet and everything changes instantly can be very, very unsettling. When I was speaking to the client about the way they were describing the assault, I couldn't help but feel that it could have been a lot worse. And it's very difficult working with a client where they've been on the receiving end of something unjust, unfair, and horrible to start communicating, oh, it could have been much worse, because that can feel to the client that you're diluting or demeaning their experience. But at the same time, there can be ways of communicating that in a way that the client can get to a place where they agree that it could have been worse. When you get to that place, trauma can be reframed as a lucky escape. And in this particular case, one of the things the client did is called a hotline for help. And one of the things that the actual advisor said on the hotline, this is how people end up getting killed. So the client already had a reference point from someone impartial that, yes, indeed, it could have been much worse. And that gave me the ability to frame what happened as a lucky escape. Now, you can't change the past, but you can change the meaning that you give to events. So in this, you're going to hear two key things. The therapist listening will pick up on a technique which is normally used for phobias. It's an element of stage disassociation and rewind technique or fast phobia cure. But in this case, it was helpful because the clients were having intrusive thoughts about things they just experienced. So there's that. That's the second part of the session. The first part uses an induction based in nature, but there's a metaphor there that could enable the client to accept this idea that something can be horrible, unpleasant, and at the same time, it could have been much worse, and therefore maybe it was a lucky escape. So there's a bit going on here. If you have been on the receiving end of a serious assault or something illegal, obviously weigh up your options, and it might be that getting the police involved or some form of external, let's say, body may be very helpful in your situation, depending on what the situation is. This isn't designed to do those things. This is designed to help release an element of the emotion connected to the thing. But please bear in mind, it was created for an individual with very specific circumstances. Hopefully this will be beneficial for you. But at the same time, if you feel like a more bespoke session would be helpful, there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule that free consultation call. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and I won't say enjoy the session, but see if it enables you to reframe something traumatic for you, perhaps in a new way, maybe even a lucky escape. So relax and experience this session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a slow, deliberately long breath, allowing it to go in through your nose into your lungs, giving you a feeling of clarity. And as you exhale, allow yourself to release whatever needs to be released. So you're breathing in a sense of resourcefulness and exhaling whatever needs that thing to be let go. And don't be surprised if you breathe in deeper and longer. And as you exhale, you just allow that outward breath to carry on for a few seconds longer than it normally would. Breathing in for longer, breathing out for longer, breathing in resourcefulness and exhaling anxiety, worries, tension, perhaps even sadness. Whatever needs to be released, allow it to be released. And it doesn't have to be released all in one go. Consider this a transfusion. Breathing in the resources you need, slowly displacing what you need to release. So each breath gives you more of what you need and releases that which you don't. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the more you notice tension, perhaps around your jaw, forehead, neck, or shoulders, to just let go. That's it. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a lake. And not just any lake, but a lake in nature. Beautiful nature that is picturesque. I want you to imagine that to begin with, the lake is choppy, unsettled, almost like there's waves on the lake. And maybe these waves represent an unsettled feeling, chaos. If you think of trauma as the ripples, there was an event that caused those ripples. See it all on the surface of the lake and imagine being by the side of the lake. But notice something interesting. The deeper you breathe in and the longer you breathe out, the more this choppy water seems to calm. I want you to see storm clouds, grey, dark clouds in the sky, but as you breathe in deeply and release the breath, the clouds seem to be dissipating. The waves seem to be quietening. I want you to keep doing this, deep inward breaths, long outward breaths, until There are no waves on the surface. The surface of the lake is still, and the sky is blue skies and sunshine. And when you get to that point of blue skies and still waters, let me know by nodding your head. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, that's it. The lake becomes still. The sky is blue and you can feel the sunshine on your skin. And somewhere nearby, I want you to see a fisherman with a fishing line. And you can see it going into the lake. And I want you to get a sense that that fisherman has an agenda. It is no friend of the fish. It wants to catch the fish and eat the fish. But it puts something desirable on the end of that hook. Something that seems harmless, enjoyable, wonderful. Imagine seeing that bait and the hook under the surface of the water, and just imagine briefly feeling like a fish, seeing that desirable bait, and thinking it's totally fine to take this bait, and in doing so, feel that you're trapped or caught. Maybe even the sensation of the hook piercing your skin. And feel a legitimate, natural sense of panic. The line is now coercing you, drawing you closer to the fisherman. And the fisherman does not have your interest at heart. I want you to feel as you're being reeled in, it feels like there's an escape. I want you to get a sense there's an opportunity and you take it and you wriggle off that hook. Something undesirable happened, but it could have been so much worse. I want you to get a sense that you are now free in the lake and feeling traumatized by what's happened, but at the same time grateful that there's another chance. And then imagine standing on the side of the lake, seeing the fishermen looking frustrated that they nearly got what they wanted, but it didn't go to plan. And allow this metaphor of a fisherman and a fish to mean whatever you want it to mean. See the fisherman leaving empty-handed, leaving the lake, not getting what they want, and now you're just left on the side of the lake on a sunny day, a still lake. But somewhere nearby the side of the lake is a door, not connected to a building. A door with a door frame just hovering there by the lake. It seems odd. Why would a door just be next to a lake, not connected to anything? And I want you to imagine standing in front of the door, looking around, seeing that it's just nothing behind the door. But imagine opening the door, and as I count from 5 to 1, you will imagine opening the door and walking into the door and realizing that this is a portal to your own private cinema. Breathing in, number 5, just imagine putting your hand on the handle of the door. 4, turning the handle. 3, opening the door. 2, walking through the door, and 1, closing the door behind you, and you're no longer by a lake. you are now walking into your own private cinema. But this is a state-of-the-art cinema. No one there but you. And this cinema has not one screen, but 3 screens, almost making it like a panoramic IMAX kind of cinema, but it's not. 3 separate screens, one on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right, all of equal sizes. Find the most comfortable chair you can find in this cinema with the perfect view of all 3 screens. And when you find the right chair, let me know by nodding your head. And allow yourself to sink into that chair. Feel so deeply relaxed. A wonderful feeling of relaxation. And I want you to notice something. The left-hand screen is you seeing you at your most resourceful, joyful, light, free, optimistic. See that version of you on the left-hand screen, knowing you can do whatever you want. And know that's true because it happened. You felt that way. And then on the right-hand screen, see yourself 1 year from now, not surviving, but thriving. Living the best life you've ever lived. Believing in yourself, full of confidence and courage, but also able to establish boundaries to keep you safe. No dependency. See yourself in that future where you have created a life that's good for you and the people you love the most. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice the middle screen is blank. Deliberately so. Because the middle screen represents an unpleasant moment. Something perhaps traumatic, stressful, undesirable. But we're not going to look at that screen from the cinema. We're going to go all the way up to the projector booth. So allow your physical body to stay in that chair. But imagine what it would be like to be the person in the projector booth, seeing the cinema screens from a different perspective. But from the projector booth, you can also see yourself relaxed and comfortable in that chair. So you know it's not you in the booth, just your perception. And then what I'd like you to do is imagine playing on that middle screen that moment that was traumatic. But you will see yourself like an actress on that screen. It isn't you, it's a representation of you. And all I want you to do is to think of a moment that was unpleasant, triggering, traumatic in some way. And see someone looks like you being portrayed on screen. And I want you to imagine playing it forward, knowing that like any movie, you can distort time and perception. You're observing it and you're seeing it like it's happening to someone else. Imagine playing it from the beginning to the end. But allow the end to be when you feel that the trauma has passed. The end is where you are safe, calm, and comfortable. And just play it forward perhaps once or twice just to know that you know the structure of that memory. And when you've seen it, let me know by nodding your head. But now we're going to do something unusual. Now that you know the sequence of the movie, I want you to start at the end and imagine you've got one of those old remote controls where you can rewind things. And just imagine seeing the whole movie happening backwards. It starts at the end and it goes backwards to before the moment even happened, and therefore it ends when you're fine. So just imagine watching it backwards, and when you've seen it in reverse, let me know by nodding your head. And then jump back to the end. You're still in the projector booth, still just watching, and make it happen backwards, but this time twice as fast. And again, skip back to the end, watch it backwards 3 times as fast. Maybe it's so fast it's a blur, or maybe the voices, the sounds, it all feels high-pitched. Because when sounds increase speed, the pitch goes up. Squeaky voice is all happening backwards. That's it. And when you know exactly what happens backwards, then I want you to pause it at the end and imagine stepping into the screen, now feeling in your own body, but now from a first-person perspective. Imagine it all happening backwards, feeling like you're talking backwards, driving backwards, walking backwards, moving backwards. It all happens in reverse from a first-person perspective. And when you get to the end, which is the beginning, then jump back to the end and make it even faster. You're in your own body. Emotions will happen in reverse. Any tightness in your chest or your gut, any twisting happens in reverse. It's all happening backwards. That's it. Jump back to the end. And now I'm going to make the sound. Whoosh. And as I make that sound, whoosh, just imagine it all happening backwards at the same speed. Whoosh. Jump back to the end and then whoosh, all the way to the beginning. And one final time, whoosh. But this time, as you go backwards, find yourself not at the beginning of the memory, but find yourself in the body of you at that left-hand screen, feeling so resourceful. You're at the end of that movie, and whoosh, all the way backwards, and now find yourself in a place of pure resourcefulness, feeling light, free, joyful, feeling in a good place. And just scan your body and notice that certain feelings that may have been there recently seem to be melting away. You feel freer, more relaxed. That the sympathetic nervous system is dialing down and the parasympathetic nervous system is dialing up. Let's try it one more time. In the moment of trauma and whoosh, back in that resourceful state, back in your body when you felt great. And now jump back to the projector booth. And this time, let's decide how you would have wanted that traumatic moment to have been. We can't change the past, but we can change emotional associations. So imagine seeing it from the projector booth playing forward the way you would have wanted it to have been. Maybe see yourself being more assertive, making different decisions, having clearer boundaries, making different choices or behaviors. But notice how resourceful you look in this middle screen now. You're reminded of that version of you in the left-hand screen, but now in the middle screen. And by harnessing these resources, observe it happening the way you would have wanted. And this is just your imagination. In your imagination, the fish being caught by the fisherman could jump out of the lake and punch the fisherman in the nose before going back in the lake. It's just your imagination. That's it. So allow yourself to make what happens in that middle screen. It doesn't have to be logical, feasible, even possible. It's what you want it to be. To feel free of that memory, that moment. Maybe the tables turn. Maybe something happens where you foil their plan before it even happens. Whatever you need to see, allow it to see, and just keep changing the scenario until you find one that emotionally resonates with you. That feels like, yes, if that happened, that would be amazing. And then play it forward. And if when you're playing it forward, you feel admiration, respect, perhaps even a sense of pride of that version of you in that middle screen, let me know by nodding your head. Play it forward just a few times just to get a sense of the structure. And when you feel like you know the structure of that new movie in the middle screen, let me know by nodding your head. And then take it back to the beginning and then drift from the projector booth into the screen, and you are now stepping into your body, but now living it the way you would have wanted it to have been. And notice the feelings of resourcefulness within. Calm, confident, strong, decisive, whatever the resources you needed most, feel them. They're not there logically, they're there emotionally. Harness them. And then feel like you're living that moment the way you would have wanted it to have been. Feeling resourceful, powerful. And when it gets to the end, jump back to the beginning and just do it a few times until it really feels like you're updating your neurology. Creating new associations and new meaning, perhaps. And when you feel it's happening the way you would have wanted it to, and it feels like an experience rather than a thought, let me know by nodding your head. And then feel that as a result of this new meaning, this new association, this helps you become that version of you 1 year from now, thriving. So now move into that third screen, your future, and feel how good it feels to be thriving. Not just surviving, not settling. Feel like you're living your absolute best life on your terms. Feeling in a strange way that you can be grateful for the past because it forged this new version of you. 500 years ago, the strongest and most desirable swords were the ones that were beaten and forged in fire to become strong and powerful. I want you to feel in that future, what if your moments of adversity didn't break you? They made you. I want you to get a sense of feeling that you have unlocked something powerful within you. And then drift back to the projector booth. And now see that all three screens are seeing you confident and resourceful. See a moment of the past where you were at your very best. See the middle screen where you're rewriting history on your terms and see yourself in the future thriving. Imagine stepping into any one of those moments, the past, the present, and the future, and it all feels great. And then imagine floating down from the projector booth back in your body, in that comfy chair in the cinema, also seeing that all three screens from a slightly different angle show yourself resourceful, empowered, and living life the way you choose. It's time to leave this cinema, but you leave knowing that what if something horrible that happened was a lucky escape? And what if that lucky escape was meant to happen to take your life to a new level, a level of thriving that you've never experienced yet? I want you to feel that your life is moving in an optimistic, positive direction, and as you leave the cinema, you walk out of a door and find yourself by the side of a lake, feeling that you're not quite the same person that arrived at the lake. The clouds are now blue skies. The rough waters are now still. And perhaps you feel lighter, stronger, more optimistic than you did before. It's time to leave that lake. And as you do so, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Start to calibrate with the here and now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.